Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a warm welcome to AYM Inspirations. I'm your host, Jasmina Peterson. Well, we are joined on the line once again by life coach and author Zainab Achmat, and she's going to speak to us all about what to do when someone does not support you in your journey. So yesterday we spoke extensively about how to stop self-sabotage, and we really also spoke about, she shared her personal life story with regards to she being divorced and how she needed to really come out of that sense when it comes to starting back up again. So when you are in your journey or through your life journey, you find that people will not easily support you on your decisions or on your journey. And that's exactly what we're speaking about. Zainab, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Yasmin. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Wonderful. Now, Zainab, shukran once again for being part of the program. And I mentioned that yesterday we spoke about how to stop self-sabotage. And you also mentioned a little bit about, you being divorced, and also how, that ties into your everyday lifestyle in terms of when no one supports you. In a sense of, yes, the community will say yes, but what are you going to do? What will the community say? You just got married and you're divorced now. And there's the stigma going around in society where when you are in an unhappy relationship, you're keeping it together because what is the family going to say? What is this one going to say if you get divorced? So when you do make that decision to move away from this relationship for your own betterment and for your own peace of mind, you'll find that people won't support you and people will support you. So what do we do in this regard? Take us through this.
Okay, so this is a very, very, very scary journey to do, especially when you're doing it on your own. Mm-hmm. So, Yasmina, I don't know if you've ever experienced divorce or anything like this. No. Alhamdulillah. So, Yasmina, I think when it happened, I was very young and I became very withdrawn. And I think being an only child just made it even worse because you become ultra-independent. Have you ever heard that term, Yasmina, ultra-independence? No. Okay. So ultra-independence is when you actually, it's like a coping mechanism that we develop when we learn not to trust. So if people have failed you before, you actually don't trust the next person. So you become so ultra-independent in the sense that you always hear women maybe say, for example, men are not men anymore.
Or maybe all men are the same. All your men are the same.
Sometimes people say that because that was their experience. Yeah. But it doesn't mean all men are the same. Mm-hmm. It literally is just their experience, So we become almost like, especially when you're young, and you take on the role of an adult in the sense of, I need to do this on my own. And because you're always doing things on your own, people now think, no man, she can cope. Don't worry about her. She's got this. And then automatically they sweep it under the mat. And you're projecting that you're okay, but deep down you are actually alone. That is the reality of the situation. And it's not just with divorce, It can happen for many reasons. This kind of trauma that you go through can happen when you're grieving a loss of somebody who was really a big support to you, and now you're alone. For example, there's a lot of women who's not working and they are codependents to their husbands. So now the husband dies. Now what? Where's the support structure now? Who's going to help them now? Okay? And then, for example, there's another example of divorce, like you mentioned. Then, of course, you have, for example, when you're in a toxic relationship and you're too scared to tell your family, too scared to tell anybody, and you're taking the abuse and you're taking this toxic space and you're so alone and you can't share your emotions with anybody. And so how do you trust somebody to even tell what's happening? Say how you're feeling, because you chose this person and now they're going to judge you. It always comes back to being judged. What is people going to say? What is people going to talk about? What are they going to say about me? And that is hence the name of the book. So what people are going to talk anyway. Exactly. So the reality is Have you ever felt in a space, and Jasmina, where you were alone and you couldn't share your feelings? What went through your mind at that time?
Okay, so yes, I do, but it wasn't. I won't say it was that hectic in a sense of, I was going through maybe a breakup or anything to that effect because I haven't
Mm-hmm.
experienced that. But I
Yes.
have experienced loss, right? And I think that most of us, that are listening in right now have somehow or the other experienced loss. And for
Yes.
me, I thought to myself, there's no one, even though I tried to speak to people about it, there was no
Mm-hmm.
one that could really understand what I was going through. And
Absolutely.
my only source at that point in time was Allah, was to speak to Allah. Because we know that
Absolutely.
Allah is the one that created us, Allah is the one that will always understand us, and Allah is the one that won't ever get tired of us asking Allah or begging by Allah. And
Yes.
that really just confirmed that, you know what, yes, you can speak to your family, you can speak to your friends, but they
Mm-hmm.
won't understand you the way you want them to understand you, or what is
Yes.
going on inside of you, the way Allah would understand you and the way Allah would bring you out. So yes, we
Yes.
often tend to, lean on certain people in our lives. We have maybe a good support structure. For example,
Yes.
we have a family member or we have a friend we know that we can always go to at that time, and that
Yes.
person is like my rock. If I speak to that person, then
Yes.
everything will be okay. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens when that person is not available to hear you, or to listen to what you want to speak about? And Zainab, and I think that is where my next
Yes.
question comes in. How do we
Mm-hmm.
break the cycle, and how do we break the chain of not caring about what others say and putting ourselves first? Because I
Okay.
think that leading into our previous discussion, staying in a relationship that is detrimental to your mental health, your physical
Mm-hmm.
health, emotional health, is also some sort of a kind of self sabotage.
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. And so, what some people, like I said, it's a journey. You can't just be alone today and not alone tomorrow. So it's like you need to literally go through a process. And so my journey was literally journaling. And a lot of people say, I don't know what to write about. And if you call it a gratitude journal, you will literally only talk about the positive things that are happening. So when you go through a state of loneliness, when you feel no support, we tend to become negative, and we only see the negative things around us. And what happens when you only see the negative things around us? We start focusing on the negative things, and then more negative things happening, because that is what's happening all the time, following each other, because we're not focusing on what people call affirmations, bringing in the positive energy. So when you're journaling something and you call it, for example, a gratitude journal, you're journaling maybe every day you can write about, list 5 things that you're grateful for today. Even if it is, I have a roof over my head, alhamdulillah. I have family that I can speak to, that I can reach out to. I have friends. You don't necessarily have to reach out, but at least if you're writing it down, you see it, you can make sense in your mind, I have them. I maybe didn't bridge the gap to speak to them yet, but I have support. So when we're writing these things down, it is almost like you are affirming in your mind that I do have support. You need to physically see it in your mind. You need to be able to feel comfortable to actually reach out. And how you're going to feel comfortable if you constantly say in your mind, I have the support. I have someone I can trust. I have friends. And this is where we also come in, where we don't want to become that victim, the victim of circumstances, because we're going to make excuses. No, I'm not going to phone her now. Maybe she's busy. Or I'm not going to speak to this one because she's going to tell that one. So we need to stop making excuses. We literally need to find somebody you're comfortable with. You don't have to even tell them everything, but you need to start somewhere by talking. Even if it's somebody like a life coach or somebody, a psychologist, psychiatrist, somebody that you maybe have to pay, but at least you know that's your safe place. Like for me as well, I went to Allah because that's my safe place. And yes, you can make your istikhara and you can ask Allah to show you, give you guidance. But sometimes you still need to speak to somebody out there who can help you through your journey and journey along with you. So when you, for example, doing your gratitude journals and you're writing about these things and you're writing your affirmations and you're writing about your feelings, you are almost like you are expressing yourself in this journal. And that is what my book was for me. Before I did my book, I literally I used my WhatsApp status and I had a 30-day challenge to everybody out there. Why? Because I didn't want to challenge myself alone. But doing that, it kept me accountable to keep on putting my questions out there. And I would have questions on my journal, on my status that I would put out there to people, and people actually loved it. They would come back and say, do you mind if I share your phone number with somebody else? Because she's also going through a tough time, and I think we're all doing this together, you know. And I would say you don't need to forward your answer to me. You put your answer in your journal, and you journal those answers back to yourself. And it was almost like a way of uplifting myself and gaining confidence in myself to speak, because I became so ultra-independent where I didn't ask for help. You would find yourself crying alone, not reaching out to others, because others always thought you are the strong person that is, you're on top of the world. You always have a smile on your face. And it's always those ones that's doing the community work. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Jasmina. But people who's doing all the community work are always the one who's been through a lot. And that is why they are out there helping others. I don't know if you've ever experienced this.
Yes, I have, and also with a smile on their faces as well.
Absolutely.
And Zainab, you mentioning about writing down 5 things that you are most grateful for. Does journaling and writing down your feelings also help?
It does. It really does. Do you have your own journal? Have you ever tried journaling, Jasmina?
I have, but it was journaling in a different sense. It wasn't journaling in a sense of my feelings. It was journaling in a sense of wanting to attract what I want out of life. So it was basically like my goals, my du'as, my niyas, my steps as to how I'm going to get there. But what I would do is first start off with gratitude, or first start off at the place of gratitude, because with gratitude, then obviously Allah gives you more. So then with gratitude, you first start off, oh Allah, I'm so grateful for this, that and the other. Shukran so much for blessing me with this, that and the other. But these were things that I didn't have in my life. So I pretended and I wrote in the present tense as if I already had those things in my life.
Like you're manifesting.
That's it, yeah.
Yes,
that is how I journal. But obviously it wasn't, because life gets into the way and sometimes you're tired and so on. So it wasn't an ongoing process. It was just like, oh, I'll do it today. Tomorrow maybe I'll read over it, and then I'll do it maybe a week later, and so it went. It wasn't consistent.
Yes.
And
that's just the thing.
Yeah.
So when you're consistent, the aim is to keep it short. Then okay, let me just do it. So it's done. So what I would do is, when I make Fajr, okay, I would get up a little bit earlier. I would sit there before Fajr, and I'll have a little journal book close to my musla. So I know while I'm waiting, I can journal. It'll take me 5 minutes. Because it doesn't take much to be grateful. Because you know what? If you start your day off with things to be grateful for, and with Allah in your mind, how can your day not get any better?
Exactly. And people have the saying of, oh, today is a blue Monday. And then the whole day is blue.
Exactly. Because they're bringing on that energy. So we need to shift that negative energy into positive energy all the time.
Wonderful.
We need to shift it. Yeah.
When you're talking about shifting that negative energy into positive energy, does this then also mean if you are faced with difficulty, then you kind of need to force yourself to look at the positive out of this situation?
Yes, we have to. We have to find ways of moving forward And what better ways? Like how would you move forward in life? How would you find ways to find that way of just like you need to actually, if you feel that your support structure is not strong enough, we need to find a good supportive structure in another form, whether it's another trusted friend. So some of us are not people, we're not social butterflies. Some of us are very homely people like myself. So going out there doesn't necessarily work. But when I do community work, I find that there are people in that group that I can trust. Might not be my family, might not be my best friends, but it's people in that group that I can trust. And so even if it's just one person that I can speak to, or my fellow life coaches, I can speak to one of them. But there's somebody out there that I can speak to, and that is how it works. You need to find that person that you're comfortable in that space.
Zainab, I want to say shukran so much for being part of the program. And I know that for those listening in at the moment, it's all about finding that person that you are most comfortable with. And also for the people that maybe don't have the support, what is your advice to them?
All I can say is that everybody is vulnerable, but you need to find the bridge to really trust somebody so that you can just start your journey and help that person will actually help you and move forward in life, inshallah.
Inshallah. Shukran once again, Zainab. Until we speak tomorrow, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Have a wonderful day.
You too, inshallah.
Okay, shukran, salam.
Wa alaikum salam. That they the voice of life coach and author Zainab Achmat speaking to us all about what to do when you don't have that support and how to navigate through becoming more grateful in life. We head out now for ads, and once we return, we'll continue. Stay with us.